People, hello, how are we? Hopefully we're all doing well. I'm Tom. Let's talk about AJ versus Dubois. What a fight it's going to be. You look at it on paper, it's actually quite an interesting fight. Obviously, the biggest critique Daniel Dubois had is his heart. And I think he's shown us in recent fights, he has got that heart. It's gone on to see that, you know, I mean, look, I did say from the start that Dubois is a broken orbital bone. It's easy for us to sit back and go, he quit, you know, he gave up, he's got no heart. If you've not had a broken orbital bone, it's hard to comment on. And it's not one of those ones where some people say you can't comment on boxers if you haven't boxed. It's not one of those. It's just one of them. If you do a sport, you'll know there's times where it's really tough to continue. And I think Dubois' biggest flaw is his defense. He gets hit at will. I think that's his biggest flaw. And when you got someone like Joe Joyce sat in the opposite corner to you, coming out looking for murder, punching you in the face, smacking you back in the broken orbital bone. You know, imagine breaking your nose and getting punched in the nose continuously. It's not nice. That's quite a common injury. Now, that's an orbital bone, and you're getting whacked by someone like Joe Joyce continuously. It's easy to sit back and go, oh, he quit. Which, look, ultimately he did quit. It's easy to sit back and he's got no heart, but actually that's tough. And then Usyk, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion, the first in like 30, 40, like how many years it's been, 20 years. He's the man. So I don't think that's a fair judgment to make. But look, if you're going to make it, whatever. That's just my opinion. I think Daniel Dubois' biggest flaw is his defense. I mean, you know, he's gone on to kind of right the wrong of the heart. We like to think, I like to think, he's got a good heart, and he will continue on and he'll fight for the win. Now, his defense, on the other hand, is where I see an issue, because again, someone like Joe Joyce, who's not exactly got the fastest hands, teed off on him. Jarrell Miller didn't exactly struggle. Hrgović was teeing off on him, and that's his kind of area. But you look at AJ, they both lost to the same guy, both lost to Usyk. Now, I think AJ's fought better opposition throughout his career. AJ's fought Usyk, obviously. But you can go Povetkin, Pulev, Andy Ruiz, Klitschko, Dillian White. Dubois never really fought anyone of that caliber. Not the same number of times that AJ has. So I think AJ's got the higher caliber of fighters, but they're both like 6'5", 6'6", both similar sort of weights, both big guys, both heavy hitters. But Dubois hasn't fought anyone really with the same stopping power, the same speed as AJ. But then AJ's not fought anyone of that certainly since the Usyk losses, probably since the Ruiz loss. He's never fought anybody who can whack like Dubois since probably Ruiz. And we saw the last time he did, after, you know, he lost to Ruiz, he went back and he boxed behind his jab, and he was not scared, but he took a different approach. So we might see that again. It'd be interesting to see. Like I say, I think Dubois recently has obviously had a better resume, fought better opponents than AJ. I think that's probably pretty plain to see, pretty fair to say. Whereas Usyk hasn't. Oh, sorry, not Usyk. AJ hasn't. He's fought, you know, he's fought Helenius, he's fought Ngannou, he's fought Otto Var. None of them are really of the same caliber as Usyk, as I mean, even Miller, really. You know, even Miller's up there. You know, just then fighting Hrgović, he's had the better run. So you look at it on paper, and you go, kind of on paper, it's pretty even. AJ's probably better, but on a worse run, and he hasn't really fought anyone of Dubois' caliber. Dubois will be by far the hardest challenge he's had. Dubois is a top 5 heavyweight for me. Dubois is a top 5 heavyweight for me. Look, you can make an argument that Zhang's in there, but for me, you got Usyk, AJ, Fury, Parker, Dubois. And look, maybe I'll make a video on my top 10. But that's some jump. You know, I'd say Otto Wallin at the time might have been a top 10. At the time he fought AJ, you could have argued Otto Wallin was a top 10 heavyweight. Obviously he's not now, and hindsight's 2020. But this will be by some way the hardest fight AJ's had since the back of that Usyk fight. So on paper it's pretty even. And now's the time to have it. Dubois is young, AJ's old. They're both opposite ends of their peak, but probably equally so. So now's the time to have the fight. Again, from Dubois' point of view, perhaps a bit early. But from a fan's point of view, and from AJ's career-wise, now's the time to have it. For AJ, if he wins, he gets another name on his resume. Another name on the CV. Dubois, the same. So now's the time to have it. Now's the time to see it at Wembley. It's great. Going into the fight, do I think it's 50-50? No. I think the glaring error, the glaring flaw in Dubois is his defence. The way that Hrgović was tearing off on him. Look, if AJ's tearing off on you like that, you're not making it past round 2. And there's 2 caveats to that. Number 1, you can work on your defence. I'm not sitting here saying that AJ will tee off on you like that, because he might not. But if he does. And the other caveat to that is, well, who's to say Dubois won't tee off on AJ? Dubois can clip AJ. If we're to believe what's said in sparring, Dubois stopped AJ in sparring. Now, we've seen literally just in the Dubois versus Hrgović fight that sparring isn't always, relevant to fights. It was a long time. I think more the fact that it was a very long time ago when Hrgović and Dubois fought. That, I think it's more that than the fact that sparring isn't replicas of... Well, sparring is replicating fighting. It's the whole point of sparring. So I think it is more the fact that it was like 7 years ago. But, again, if we are to believe what's to be said, Dubois stopped AJ in his fight, in their sparring. So there's that. So look, maybe Dubois lands first. I think it will be one of those, where whoever lands first. But we know that AJ, and we might see it now, will step back and start boxing on the back foot. He'll box behind his jab and box on the back foot, much like he did against Ruiz the second time. If he knows Dubois can hit, and he hasn't... Look, we saw him fight Ngannou, who can hit, but Ngannou couldn't box. Dubois is a better boxer than Ngannou and can hit. So you might see him go back behind that jab and start boxing on his jab again. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a great fight. I do see AJ winning it. I think ultimately quite comfortably, because AJ's a better boxer than Dubois. I think he's harder than Dubois, and he's faster than Dubois. So I think all things point in AJ. But there is that element of, we haven't seen AJ in there with somebody like Dubois for a long time. Whereas we have seen Dubois in there with somebody like Usyk, who can box and is quick. Somebody like Miller, who can hit. So... And can apply that pressure. So it'll be interesting, and I'm really looking forward to it. I say I'm going to try and get tickets, people, and do some, match fight week footage. So that's just me. It's also going to be a Frank and Eddie show, so that's great as well. But you let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, people. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. You know how YouTube works. Peace.